business owner or a sales manager, do you know the 7 most common reasons why sales training doesn't work and how to fix it? Maybe you should. This is an important topic. I'm Scott Sylvan Bell. I'm coming to you live from New York City on a perfect day to talk about sales and a perfect day to talk about you. Now, I've been doing sales since late 2002, right into 2003, and I've got to sit through a ton of training. I've also done a ton of training for different companies, and I see these common trends, and it really comes down to 7 reasons why sales training does not work. And the first reason is no set agenda. And what will happen is companies will call a trainer, and the trainer will come in, and there's no real set agenda. There's no real pattern for what they teach. And so a lot of times they'll fly by the seat of their pants. And the salespeople feel it. Like you could tell when somebody's faking it, right? Fake it till you make it does not work for sales training. So the people will get up in front of the room, the person will get up in front of the room, and they'll fake it. There's no real plan, there's no real lesson. They're just flying by the seat of their pants. So salespeople look at it and they're like, hey, that sales guy or that sales girl trainer isn't doing anything special. Why do I got to pay attention to them? So here's how you fix this. If you're hiring somebody, you should say, hey, I want to see roughly some of your lesson plans. I want to know how deep the knowledge is. I don't need to see the whole outlay. I just need to know that there's some plans available so that when you come and talk to our people that you're not just flying by the seat of your pants. Okay, so that's 1. 2, no set goals for the salespeople. And there's been a couple of companies that I've gone to and they're like, Scott, can you work with our people? And I'll say, well, tell me about the goals for your salespeople. And they'll go, what? Goals for the salespeople? They just go out and sell. No. Like as a company, you have your KPIs, you have your marketing plans, you have all the numbers you got to hit. Why would salespeople not have some sort of number attached or expectation attached to what they do? And sometimes I'll get the kickback, Scott, well, we don't want to lose this guy or we don't want to lose this girl. And I'm like, lose them. Go ahead. They're not closing high enough for you to keep them. They're costing you money, right? You should really have defined goals for what somebody should sell at and what's considered acceptable and what's considered not acceptable. You got to know that. You got to have that definition. And so if you don't have that, it'd be a good idea to just sit down and look at your industry standard. So I come from a lot of in-home sales, and industry standard for closing bare minimum is like 30%. And top closers in most industries close 60, 70, 80%. So you look at that swing, you look at that gap, there's a lot of money left on the table. 3, no mile marker set for the training. So let's say, hey, we want to get some training done. I would say, hey, what are your mile markers? So where your people are closing at 30, do we want to get them to 40? Or are they closing at 40, you want to get them to 50? Or are they closing at 50, you want to get them to 60? Tell me what your expectation is. And so sometimes people will say, Scott, just go out there and do your best. No, I'm not going to go out and do my best. You got to give me a number. Where do you want your people at? Because I'm going to push. I'm going to ask the questions. I'm going to do the tough training that they need to hear. Otherwise, you're hamstringing me and you're not giving me anything to work with. And I'm sitting here going, we're trying and, we're hoping, and hope isn't a strategy. 4, no shown intent from the ownership. And so when you think about it, whenever you watch a president on TV, it doesn't matter who they are, and it's a big meeting, it's got the president, the vice president, the speaker of the House, the Senate, everybody's lined up, right? They bring the generals. And then that way everybody knows that it's important. And there's been times where I've worked in companies early on in my career and they would just point, and they're like, okay, you're in that room. I'm like, you don't want to introduce me? You don't want to let your people know who I am and what we're going to be doing? And they're like, hey, just go do your best. And if you're seeing this thing, hey, just do your best, this comes up more than you can imagine, okay? And I'll say, hey, no. You're going to come and you're going to set the expectations and you're going to tell them who I am and what I'm doing, right? Your job is to be the MC. Your job is to announce me and say, here's what we're expecting. Because without that, you neuter the sales trainer. Without that sales trainer is looking at it I hope I can get things to happen. And I'm not a fan of going and standing in front of a room for entertainment. Right? That's not what I do. You want some numbers? We're going to get you some numbers. You want entertainment? Call a comedian. You want entertainment? Put in a movie. But don't have a sales trainer be your entertainment. That's not how it works. 5, no accountability on the team. So you can have a trainer with all the right experience. They can have all the right materials. You can have set goals. But if you have no accountability and no, this is what you're going to do, and these are the repercussions if you don't do it, and if you don't hit your numbers for the next couple of months, then here's what's going to happen. You got to know that the salespeople are always looking for an excuse. It's the leads. It's the people. It's the lead centers. It's the territory. It doesn't work that way. Like, you got to know that's not the right way to do it. Or you got to have goals, plus you got to have accountability. Now, the next thing is you should have accountability for the trainer. Like, where are his numbers at? So like, it goes both ways. If you're going to have accountability for the team and it's going to be fulfilled, then there's got to be accountability for the trainer saying, hey, where are the goods? How come people aren't closing? How come people are having this struggle? Like, realistically, the greatest thing ever to be like, all my people are closing. We've got too much work going on. It's like the worst problem, but the best problem to have all at the same time. That's like the best conversation to have. But, you know, there's going to be times you may hire a trainer, you may hire a coach, and they come in and the sales team just runs roughshod over them and doesn't do any of the training, doesn't do any of the coaching. Remember, this all rolls back on all the other lesson plan parts. And then 7, no test out process. If you're going to train somebody and you're going to coach somebody, there really should be a test out process. And I'm a huge fan of having it videotaped. I'm a huge fan of saying, we're going to put a lot of pressure on you. We're going to put more pressure on you in this role play. We're going to put more pressure on you in this coaching than you're going to face in the sales call, because then we're going to see your dominant traits. Under a lot of pressure, your dominant traits come out, and it really tells, is it working or is it not working? And then here's the thing. You have somebody who's gone in, they've had the coaching, they've had the training, they've had all the information. You've got the accountability on the sales trainer, you've got the accountability on the management team. And if they test out to your satisfaction, then they're not using it out in the field. And I've seen a lot of times what will happen is salespeople are fantastic in front of the room, and they'll do everything that they want you to do or you want them to do in front of the room. And then what happens is they go sideways. They go out in the field and they're like, I'm not going to use that stuff. I just do it in the office to make everybody feel good, right? And so, you know, if you're paying for the leads and you're paying for them to go out, I mean, depending upon the state, the country that you're in, everybody's a little bit different. Everywhere's a little bit different, but there really definitely has to be structure. So I'm going to just run down this list for you one more time. 1, no set agenda for longevity. No set agenda with lesson plans. No set agenda for training. Okay. 2, no goals for the company for the salespeople. You got to have goals for the company. 3, no markers set for good or bad sales training. You got to constantly be looking at the KPIs. You got to constantly look at the numbers. 4, no management or ownership involvement on rollout. That is a big deal. It's bigger than what you can know. Right? If you're sitting there thinking, Scott, I don't know, it really doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal. It is. Like, you're flanked by the generals. You got everything you need to know. 5, no accountability on the team. 6, no accountability on the trainer. And then 7, that's the sign language. 7, no test out process. So there you go. There's the 7 reasons why sales training doesn't work. If you're a business owner or a sales manager and you needed to know, there you go. Now you got one thing to do from here, just one thing. Find the subscribe button, click on it. Every time I send out a video, you'll get an update. It says Scott Bell Consultant, sent another fantastic video, probably from a cool location. Today I just happen to be in New York. We'll see you soon. Thanks for dropping by. Aloha.